Still time for one more segment here on the Travel Michigan radio program. I'm Dave Lorenz, along with Michelle Benash. And Michelle, who is our final guest of the program.
A friend of the program, Christian Overland, who's the executive vice president of the Henry Ford. And, we talk to the Henry Ford pretty frequently because they have all sorts of great events happening there all of the time. But coming up at July 27th through 28th is one of my favorites, which is Maker Faire. So, Christian, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Dave.
So, for people who may not have heard of Maker Faire, give us kind of Maker Faire 101.
Maker Faire is a wonderful celebration of people who invent, make things, and are part of the do-it-yourself movement. And really, the genesis of Maker Faire started with a book called Make Magazine. It's been around for going on 8 years. But if you think about the popular science and popular mechanic books of the 50s and 60s with the cutaway images and how do you build a boat, how do you build like a hovercraft, those type of things.
Influential for me.
That's right.
They really were.
Yeah, and they were terrific magazines and still are. But the Make magazine uses that format and makes it relative to today's do-it-yourself movement people, whether they're students, kids, or adults.
Well, that's different, isn't it? Because like that popular, mechanics, I remember as a kid my dad getting that, and I looked that over, and I kind of dreamed of things like the space shuttle and thinking, wonder if that would ever really happen. And now with that magazine, it does give people kind of, especially kids, something to think about and look forward to, that they can be the next people to come up with these great ideas.
Oh, that's right. And so Maker Faire is all about the celebration of those ideas and putting them into action. So also thinking about the great world fairs of the past where people would bring in their own technologies, the latest trends, and share those ideas with each other. So rather than just working by themselves, our whole idea with Maker Faire is bringing people to the Henry Ford, exhibiting what they do every day, and having them talk about it and interact with both the audience and other makers.
So now, how does this work? The Henry Ford is this great museum, cultural institution, and it's huge. But you have a lot of things going there year-round. What's the mechanics of Maker Faire? How is it set up, and how can people take part in it?
Well, you can actually go to Henry Ford Museum, and that's how it works, on July 27th to 28th. And we have over 400 makers from all around the United States, both inside the museum and outside of our parking lot in the open air and in front of the museum, too. And so the idea is that you come in, plan on spending a whole day. And you come in and walk through these different interactives, and you talk with people. And actually, you make things yourself in some instances, or you get to ride on fantastic bicycles, or you get to participate in actually doing some robotics. Or if you're really lucky, you can actually get on a swing set that goes through a waterfall back and forth, and you never get wet. So all those type of things go on. And we have some great old standbys that we brought back, such as the real life-size mousetrap and the Coke Mento guys. Those are the guys who take Mento drops and put them in Diet Cokes, and not only just one, but thousands of them, and it turns into this kind of choreographed ballet of Diet Coke spraying all over the lawn like fireworks. It's quite an amazing sight. And the really cool thing that's coming back this year is we have a dragon. It's a fire-breathing dragon made out of metal that cruises around the grounds, too. And it's an amazing sight. People really enjoy it. And what's even more powerful of it, why the Henry Ford does this, is because it's based on people like the Edison laboratory where Thomas Edison worked, and the Wright brothers who tinkered in developing the Wright Flyer. And, of course, Henry Ford himself, who started tinkering with watches and making things, and eventually developed his self-propelled vehicle called the quadricycle, and then later the Model T that changed the world.
Yeah,
that's why we do it. Give people an opportunity to show what they make, participate with other people who are interested in what they make, and it's on the museum floor for 2 days in July.
So now, do the people who are, or the makers themselves, who are coming to kind of demonstrate what they're making, are they, do they have to go through like a vetting process of some sort where they kind of say, well, this is what we can do, and then you select them to be part of this?
Yes. People start sending their ideas to us in March, and we work with our curators and also Make Magazine and some people to help us think about how to put the event together. It is juried. And so we move people in different sections to show different kind of categories of things. So, for instance, last year we had this guy that came in and made clothing out of New York City subway cards.
Oh, that sounds rather clean.
Yeah, and so he was walking around selling his ideas. We also had last year people that made a geodesic dome, in one day. And
I don't know what that is.
A geodesic dome?
Yeah.
It's a triangulated dome. So if you think about those playground structures that are made out of triangles.
Oh, yes.
And Buckminster Fuller designed that idea of geodesics, and so people put together a whole dome in the parking lot in one day. And that's part of it, is actually building structures that go up in front of people. Plus, we have our own collections. So bringing things out like the violins. Henry Ford's Stradivari violin collection, the great violins that were made in Cremona about 300 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we partner with people like Shar Music from Ann Arbor, and they bring in violins for people to try. And we had one father and son from Washington, D.C. last year, and his son had to pick out an instrument to play in the school band, and he tried the cello for the first time. And we got a card back saying that now he's playing the cello a year later.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Yeah, so that's what it's about, trying things and being inspired and making things, and whether it's music or robotics or actually any type of engine or craft that people like.
With all the conversation about alternative energy and solar power and wind power and all that, do you have any folks who might be demonstrating anything in that area?
We do have alternative energy demonstrations, whether it's solar or people trying different combustible engines, different fuels. Last year we also had Penn State come in, and they wanted to look at Henry Ford's original kitchen sink engine, which he built for his quadricycle, and they were trying to figure out how they can make it in exact replication without using AutoCAD but using the old methods. And they did it, and they demonstrated it here. And the reason why is because they wanted to look at, could they build a simple engine and use alternative fuels in a different way.
Wow. Well, cool. How about robotics? I know that robotics today, they're even on like Discovery Channel. They have these battle of the robotics, all that stuff.
Well, robotics is a big theme with Maker Faire. Whether people are driving a couch around that's robotically controlled, and we've had that where people are sitting on a couch that just the couch is moving through the parking lot, and it's being controlled by robotic servos, or Lego robotics competitions too. But what's really fascinating is people that are coming up not just with the regular kind of mechanical ones, but people are starting to introduce different ideas in robotics or everyday life, whether it's on the nano level that people are talking about, or whether they're talking about robotics in ways that will help people with their shoes, different technologies. And it's fun because the robotic revolution, if you will, is still going on, and people are just trying to do different things, like hacking a Roomba vacuum.
Sounds like fun.
And putting lights in it or putting different things in it, make it doing different things.
Christian, only about a half minute left, but Henry Ford would have been 150 years old this year. What do you think he would have thought about Maker Faire?
Well, Henry Ford would have loved Maker Faire, and the reason why is because he built the Henry Ford to be a Maker Faire. When we opened up in 1929, we were actually a school system with the Greenfield Village component and the museum, and all the collections were being used by the kids to actually make and do things. Even making a garden shed. Henry Ford developed plans for the school children to make a garden shed so they could sell their garden vegetables that they grew. And the steam engine operations where people could actually make and design things in Greenfield Village. That's how Henry Ford started our places, to create a place by learning by doing, and that's what we're doing today.
Well, it sounds great. I bet he would have loved it. And I love entrepreneurs and innovators, and you will find all of them there at the Maker Faire this year at the Henry Ford, July 27th and 28th. Going to be great. Bring your kids, inspire them. MakerFaireDetroit.com is the website to learn more. Thank you, Christian Overland, Executive Vice President at the Henry Ford. That's all the time we have for today. I want to thank engineer Mark Blackwell, also our producer, Amanda Munson. On behalf of Michelle and George back at the office, I'm Dave Lorenz, inviting you to join us next week here on Travel Michigan, where your trip begins at Michigan.org.